Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 4-5 emotional 6.5 day sequence. We're going to talk about day two. Day two is right here in this white rectangle. Now, as always, we start out by talking about this unseen pattern of polarity moments. You see, when we broke the mathematics of the space time existence we coexist within, we were able to map out this pattern. Now, this pattern is super important to understand, and it's also important to understand the design of our physical bodies. You see, we're designed to be defensive. And what we found out is this pattern actually activates our defensive design. So when you see these polarity moments reach the number four or go above a number four, what's happening is it's creating internal stress, internal pressure that's activating our defensive design, and it's convincing us to do one of two things. Either run away and ignore our problems, or try to stand up and fight for our problems in ways that make them worse. Now, both of those things, what they do is they accelerate the amount of stress that you're going to have in your life. And the more stress you create and the more stress you avoid, well, the faster you're going to age and the more diseases you're going to get. Now, understanding this pattern and when it's going to elevate is a huge advantage. We're trying to help every individual understand how to, one, slow the aging process, and two, how to stop the progression and reverse their diseased states. That's how important it is to know when this is. Now, when this pattern elevates, you're not going to stop it. You're going to feel exactly how it makes you feel. In fact, that's what's happening here. We're sentient beings. And sentient means that we're supposed to work through our emotions in positive ways. But because we have a defensive system of control hardwired to our bodies, our feelings are convincing us to be destructive, to be negative, and to create stress. And it's that stress that's leading to all the things that we don't want to have happen. So by understanding this pattern and preparing for it, what you can do is you can start to minimize the amount of stress that you have. You see, this pattern is predetermined, which means everybody has to go through this predetermined pattern. And depending on how well you do with it, depends on what's going to happen to you and why you have a different experience than everybody else. Now, knowing this, again, is a huge advantage. And this next day here, the 24 hours we're going to talk about, is going to be difficult. We talked about this in day one. There's an elevation that we're at a level two, and we're holding at that level two because we have strong polarity flips happening both in the mental and in the emotional rhythms within our bodies. And this isn't just happening to one or two of us, this is happening to everybody. So you have to not only really be careful with how you're feeling and how it's manipulating your choice, but you have to be more calm and collective with the people around you. You have to be understanding. You have to try to work through things and understand they're going through the same thing you are. And if you don't do this together, well, it's going to be hard. That's how that works. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to slip on down here and we're going to talk about the overall objective. Again, we're in a mathematical construct. Once we figured this out, we know what life is about. Life is about getting along as an interconnected family. That's it. It's that simple. Now, our defensive design in that unseen pattern of polarity moments is making it awful hard for us to get along with our family members and to get along with our other families we share in the communities. And that's really what the issue is here. So, the first part of this is one, overcome your defensive design. Once you overcome your defensive design, well, then you have to patch up your relationships. And to do that, you have to be able to cooperate, you have to be able to communicate, and you have to be able to work your stress out between you and all the other people in your life. If you're not working your stress out, what you're doing is you're accelerating aging and you're accelerating disease. Now, once you get your family to come back together, once you can get past all of that stress and tension that you've created, the next thing you have to understand is what this interconnected family is supposed to do, the mathematical family we all exist from. And every single member within this family, within this mathematical structure, is supposed to be doing one thing, making sure that this world is a better place for every family that exists after you, not just for your family, not just for the people you care about. You have to invest your time in a way that's going to leave this world better for everybody. So if you're one of those people that overinvest in your own individual strategies or for your family strategies, that's out of balance. And that's actually what's created all of the chaos in the world right now. So, to understand this construct and to understand what you need to do, you need to contribute every day, not only to your family, but what you do better help other families as well, not just yours. Same thing at the individual level. When you invest in improving your individual self, it should also be helping every other individual that you know and are in contact with. The same thing at the larger level. When we get to the national level, you have to provide and contribute every single day in some way, somehow, that makes your nation stronger. that makes our society stronger, that makes our community stronger, and that lifts everybody up within that nation. We don't want to be divided within our nations. And on top of that, the strong nations need to lift the other nations up, and it needs to be balanced. Now, when we balance our nations, when we balance our families, when we balance the individuals within it, what we create is a peaceful and prosperous world with a stable environment that future generations can enjoy. Now, when you look around, we haven't created that. Our nations right now are feuding and our environment is falling apart. And this is because we haven't all been focusing on what it is we're supposed to be doing. And now that we show you what this is and show you what the penalties are for not doing this, in fact, we've made this really simple. There are governing frequencies that create everything in our existence. They create what we live in, and these frequencies are connected to our bodies. Now, it's this simple. There are four quadrants of our body, and we split the frequencies up to how they're attached to those quadrants. And on either side of these quadrants, there's a relationship. And if you struggle with relationships within the structure of your family or in the structure of community, then you're going to have problems in the quadrants they're connected to. If you're not balancing your routine at all levels, then you're going to have problems with those quadrants. If you're not balanced, the more unbalanced you are, the more problems you're going to have. So if you've ever wondered why certain people age faster than others, or why certain people have specific areas of their body that are a problem, it's because they're unbalanced in their relationships, and it's because they're not contributing and doing things in their routine that's going to leave this world better for others. It's going to help them more than it helps other people. That's unbalanced. The more unbalanced you are, the more problems you're going to have with your body. Now, here's the great news. If you understand this construct, and that's what we're trying to empower you to do. So once you understand what this is all about, and it's about one, overcoming your defensive design, and two, strengthening not just your family, but all the families that we share this world with. And then the other side of that is talking to those other families and talking to your family members about what it is we have to do to ensure that future generations are going to have it better than us. We have to leave this world a better place, because if we don't, we fail the objective. Now, when we fail the objective, it accelerates aging, it creates our disease. But if we decide to align with it, if we submit to the objective, if we understand what this is and we full-heartedly do it, this is what happens. You can actually be healed by these frequencies. When you do your best with your family and when you balance your routine every single day, you will be in perfect alignment with these frequencies, and you can heal and you can stop the progression of your disease. Now, if you do this till the last day, until your last day on this in this simulated experience, you'll get to graduate. You get to leave this negative feedback loop and you get to transition into a positive one. You see, this math will prove that there is a metaphorical heaven and there's a metaphorical hell. And if you want to get to heaven, if you want to get to a positive feedback loop, well, then you have to do the objective. You have to decide that you're going to be a team member that leaves this place that we exist in better for everybody else. Now, if you convince yourself that you don't have to get along with certain members of the team, then you're not going to complete the objective. If you tell yourself that you're important and you don't have to give up some of your things, then you're not going to complete the objective. Now, that's what you have to do if you want to get out of this negative feedback loop and into a positive feedback loop. That's the big reward. And in the short term, the other rewards are slow aging and slow progression of disease. So you've got no excuses here. Now, how are we going to prove this to you? That part's easy. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So when we do this zoomed in 24-hour analysis, what we're really doing here is we're showing you when these electromagnetic peaks are going to go up and down. Okay. And what we've done is we've zoomed this in and we've synchronized the hours of the day with these peaks. So what you do is you find your time zone offset. We've got all 24 time zones. Once you find your offset, this will hold for 10 seconds. You screenshot this. Now you have this on your phone all day long. So what we encourage you to do is every time you get defensive, every time someone around you gets defensive, we want you to look at this pattern. And if you start to look at this pattern, you're going to see that every time that there's conflict, this pattern has been fooling you. You see, it's been fooling us to think that we need to fight with one another when the truth is what we have to do is fight our defensive design. And what we need to do is we need to make sure that we're doing the work that ensures that we're not being tricked by our defensive design and fighting with the people that cause our stress, because in truth, we're creating our diseases by being tricked by this pattern. That's how simple that is. Now, the more you check this and the more you see how it's manipulating us, the more you're going to realize that this is just a test. And in this test, we're supposed to be learning how to get along and how to make sure that we make things better for the future generations. It's that simple. That's the first way we do this. Now, we already talked about this a little bit in the above part here. You can see that this is going to be a challenging 24-hour period. We've got that mental and emotional polarity flip that's happening during this period. And what that does is it just makes it hard to make good, sound decisions and not to be agitated. We want to jump to conclusions and we want to make up that story in our head that something's going the way it's not supposed to. We need to be clear. We need to be honest and we need to communicate so that we alleviate our stress. If we're running away from our stress, we're not fixing anything. We're actually just making it worse. So, what we want to do is we want to be able to work through our stress, but to do that, we have to be calm and we have to be willing to communicate and we have to be willing to compromise with the people around us. End of story. That's the only way to do that. So, pretty red alert day here. And we've got another couple days after this where it's going to stay elevated. So I hate to tell you, this isn't going to get any easier. This 4 or 5 sequence is going to be difficult. Now, the second way that we prove to you that you're in a space time or a mathematical reality is through these alignments. You see, these alignments, we call them low hanging fruit because what happens is these frequencies are connected to the quadrants of our body. And these alignments is when two things or when two frequencies within a quadrant align. And what it's going to do is it's going to make it real easy for you to feel something in your body. So if you're unbalanced with your teammates, that's what the blue alignments are about. Or if you're unbalanced with your routines, that's what the purple alignments are about. And the time bar goes through this and you feel the quadrant that this is related to, that's biofeedback. That's this system trying to help you understand through what you feel that you're not balancing. If things are happening to you that you don't like, well, you can change that. To change that, you have to change your behaviors. You have to decide that you are willing to become better teammates, and you have to be willing as teammates to do the objective, which is to leave this place better for all future teammates. It's that simple. I can't say it enough. Now, if you do that, again, there's a reward. Now, if you don't do this, there's a punishment and you'll feel it. You'll feel the parts of your body when you're unbalanced. Now, this first alignment we're going to talk about is this EE, okay? This alignment's going to last for an hour and a half, and it's going to affect the upper quadrants of the body. So it wants to know how you're going to get along with the older, mature members of the team. Now, it doesn't matter if they're older members or younger members. You have to communicate. You have to cooperate. You have to be able to help them alleviate their stress and work through that. And you have to be able to talk to each other about routines that are going to make this world a better place. If you're not doing that, then you're not doing the objective, and there's going to be a penalty for that. And you'll feel it in these upper quadrants specifically during this hour and a half period this alignment's happening. Now, the other alignment we're going to talk about today is this one. This is the ME. Again, an hour and a half alignment. This has to do with routines. And these routines are the tougher ones. The upper parts of the body have to do with world and national routines. And many, many people on this earth are going to suffer when this alignment happens. How can we be so certain? Well, first, look at our nations. They're falling apart. And then look at our environment. It's getting worse and worse here, which means we haven't been doing a very good job of this. This means we've been overinvesting in personal strategies that help us, and we've been underinvesting in the strategies in order to keep our nation and our world balanced. So this is when you're going to experience things in your shoulders. This is when you're going to experience things in your head, sinus pressure, headaches, memory issues, concentration problems during this hour and a half time. So if you were wondering why some days you get a headache and then it goes away, or why one day your knee hurts and then it moves away, these alignments are what's causing that pattern of pain in your body. And depending on where you hurts, just depends on how unbalanced you are. That's how simple this is to understand. All right, so let's keep moving here. Now we're going to talk about testing sequence. Now, these are the amount of frequencies that are going to test your body, and they only test this. They want to make sure you're a good teammate, and they want to make sure you're investing in a team way that's going to make it better for future teams, period. And if you're not doing that, well, there's going to be a problem. Now, frequencies, if there's more than 4 testing a quadrant at any given time, that's a lot of test load. So expect to feel that more. Now, you can see that the upper left and the upper right are pretty heavy test loads. They're at the 4 and above the 4 for this next 24 hours. Now, in contrast, the left lower and right lower, they're not as strong. They're at a 4 below a 4. So during this next 24-hour period, expect upper quadrant stuff to be a bigger problem for people. That's where we're getting more stress and more pressure. Plus, these are the harder ones, okay? It's tough right now. It's obvious that we're not doing a very good job at the national and the world level. So people are definitely going to struggle this next 24-hour period. Now, these two graphs, they show you where the strongest frequencies are during this 24-hour period of time, and we've got 10 of them listed here. There are many more than 10 frequencies that are going to test you. These are the 10 strongest, and this is where they sit. And really, the only one that doesn't have overlap is this bottom left side. You see on the bottom left here in first person, if you get left lower quadrant pain, we can be positive it has to do with your lack of being able to get along with the younger members of the team. And we know this because there's no strong frequency on the left side in third person. But in the other three quadrants, there's overlap. When there's overlap, we need you to pay attention to when you hurt and where you hurt. And you can use our software to know exactly what imbalances are causing your body to feel imbalanced. Now, the truth is this. It's this simple. All you have to do is commit to the team. All you have to do is commit to a balanced routine. You can slow aging and you can heal yourself. That's simple. Now, don't overcomplicate this. Now, we give you the advantage because we want you to know where to focus first. So if you have a specific area or a specific problem, we want you to know what you need to do to get that well as soon as possible. But at the end of the day, it's 8 things and you're expected to do this all the time. The sooner you make that commitment, the sooner you don't have to look at these graphs. That's how simple that is. All right, so now we're going to end this out by showing you that we got the electromagnetics for the rest of 2024 posted. No more mystery. When this pattern goes up, social tension goes up. You don't believe me? Watch the news. When this pattern goes up, weather events get more amplified. You don't believe me? Watch the news. Now, when this pattern goes back down, guess what happens? So does social tension. So this is showing you the pattern of chaos that goes up and down as we move forward and through time. Now that you know this, what we're doing is we're empowering every individual to eliminate the chaos in their lives first. We want you to eliminate the stress that's making things difficult for you. Now, if we get 1 or 2 people doing this, it's not going to change anything. But we get regions or nations of people doing this, and we can change everything. You see, we can smooth this pattern out. This up and down movement and chaos, we can make it smooth and we can make the future peaceful and prosperous for everybody. But we can't do it until people are willing to do the personal work, not be defensive, not be agitated, and try to stay calm and work out their problems and commit to their teams. Once we do that, everything changes. We don't do that, this is going to continue the way it goes. That's what we're doing for you. That's what we're trying to help you accomplish. We'll see you in the next 24 hours.